Hey guys, Aaron here. I'm going to show you in this video how to utilize or navigate the analytics suite for tracking your lead performance and just go through some of the basics and best practices when using that portion of the analytics suite. So to get in the analytics suite, if you're in Dex and you go to marketing, navigate towards this link, analytics suite, and by default, you should have this screen pop up on your computer. Little tip here, it may not work with Internet Explorer. You may have to be in Google Chrome or Firefox. The other thing is, if your website browser is zoomed in all the way, say to 100%, all of this data gets kind of squished together a lot, and it makes it a little bit easier to view stuff if you zoom out. Makes it a little bit easier to see the whole screen. So this is one particular dealer that I'm logged in at. Just want to go through some basics with it. Again, the lead is the default section that you get directed to. And I'll just kind of go through this dashboard. I know there's a lot of numbers here, but very simply want to show you what each section is used for. So lead's pretty self-explanatory. On the upper right-hand corner, it'll show a time frame. So whether you want to be showing March data, or maybe you want to look at February data, you can kind of scroll through that and just get some month-by-month data for your leads. So in this case, February 2020, this dealer had 37 leads, 100% of those were responded to, and 100% responded to in under 2 hours. So I get questions a lot of time. Hey, Aaron, why on my dealer site do I continue to have these lead notifications pop up? I've closed them all. This analytics suite would be your source of truth. If you see a response rate under 100%, you know you have an outstanding lead. So don't necessarily rely on these indicators here on the follow-up screen. The source of truth can be your analytics suite. Okay. Close rate by default will just be month to date. So you may show a pretty low number there. Typically a 90-day close rate is kind of a standard for showing true lead performance. And then the KPI section down here is really helpful just to see how you're performing with leads month over month through a rolling 12 section. So the dark black line here is going to show your close rate. And then the blue line is going to be lead volume. And then if you're really bad at responding to leads in under 2 hours, you would see another line that would show responded to in over 2 hours. This dealer does a good job, so we don't see a whole lot of that. But the black line, you can kind of see, hey, how am I performing? If I had a really, really good month, in this case, June, what the heck was I doing in June to get 38% close rate? Now, I'd be a little bit skeptical. It looks like they had fewer leads. But you can kind of just see trends and figure out why November and December close rate was almost 14%. And then at the beginning of the year, that dropped off quite a bit. Almost half the close rate we had in November, December. Why was that? Source type, you can see where those leads are coming from. If you're part of our certified website program, you'll see dealership website. If you're not part of our certified website program, you're only going to see the Polaris brand leads. And then from benchmark data down here, you can kind of compare yourself to the district, the region, and then national numbers here. Okay. If I go to the summary section of leads, this one you have a little bit more flexibility to customize a report. Maybe I want to see leads for the last 30 days, or maybe I want to see leads for the last year to date. So if I go to this custom section and I hit January 1st till today and I hit apply, this is going to give me data for a specific region, time frame. So, you had a new salesperson and you want to see, are they really making a difference? Or you had somebody dedicated to responding to leads you didn't prior. Maybe create a filter from when they started and then compare that data to before they arrived. See if you can see any trends. But same type of thing here. You're going to see leads, brand site leads. If you have a certified website program, you'll see how many of those leads are coming from your website, how many sales are resulting from those leads. You can kind of see what response rate is. And then now it looks like our close rate data is starting. In this case, it's not showing, it might be default to 30-day close rate. If all these numbers are the same, that means it's only showing the 30-day close rate. If we go and do a longer, say we go back to November till today, I think it might work now. Yeah, so if you have a time frame that's greater than 90 days or 60 days, then it's going to actually update the 30, 90-day close rate for you. So obviously, for the most part, the rule of thumb is the longer you go out, if you think about all the leads you're capturing in a 30-day period and how many of those are turning into sales, there's probably some leads that came through in the past 30 days that haven't yet turned into sales that will. So the longer you go back, hopefully the higher the close rate you have. So typically 90-day close rate's a good benchmark to see how are you actually performing with your sales in converting those. So 9.6%. Then if I go to source leads section, this is very helpful just to kind of see how am I performing based on brand leads versus dealership website leads. No surprise here. Very common to see that your close rate for the dealership website leads are about twice as high as brand leads. So in this case, the Polaris.com leads are closing at a 6.8% rate. Dealership website leads are closing at 14.29. Okay. Then the last one, probably the most important section of this whole section is the transaction section. So this is where you can get really, really surgical, precise on each individual lead that's came through. You can see when it came in, where it came in from, the Polaris site or my dealership website, who it was, when it went live, when we responded to it, how long it took us to respond to. And the really, really cool thing here is we can start to see if those turned into sales. So you can see these sections that says sale date. If there's a sale date, that means that customer bought. If it says same dealer and you have a section that says S, that means, yes, it came from the same dealer. And then it'll say where it was sold and what they bought. Okay, it's not going to tell you what dealer actually purchased, but it'll tell you whether or not you got the sale. This is where the screen, by the way, zooming out is very helpful. If your screen is set to 100%, you're only going to see a very small amount of this data, and you have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, scroll all the way to the right to see all of this data that comes into the far right. So highly recommend you zoom out to about 50%. Looks to be about the sweet spot, so you can see all of the data on one screen. You can hit these 3 lines over here too. If you're good with Excel, you can actually export this into Excel. I'll just do it for you really quick here. And it gives me that data in kind of an Excel format. So lastly, I just want to show you an example. We'll scroll over to the next page. We'll try to find a deal that didn't go. Okay, so this guy looks like looks like this particular customer submitted multiple leads. You can see the 0 value here. That means that this customer bought a machine. They bought a machine because it has a sale date, but they didn't buy it from this particular dealership. And it'll say what they actually ended up buying. So this is very, very important, because if I were you as a dealer, I'd be looking at this data almost weekly, if not at least once a month, finding out all of the sales that we lost, then going back to my lead response system and figuring out, okay, what happened? Maybe we responded to that lead super quick, but they asked us a follow-up question and we never got back to them. Big miss, right? Maybe it actually came in and it took us 6 hours to respond. That'd probably be a pretty good indicator that they submitted a lead to another dealer and we lost the sale. Maybe that dealer or that customer was from 500 miles away and had no business even submitting a lead to our dealership to begin with, right? Probably no corrective actions to be made there. But you can start to make some assumptions, or if you start to see trends that a certain salesperson continues to lose sales that go elsewhere, that's probably pretty good indicator that that particular salesperson needs to probably be coached on how to effectively respond to leads. So very, very powerful information, and a tool, especially this lead transaction section. I'd highly encourage you guys to get familiar with it, to understand how you guys are doing from a lead response, and really identify a root cause as to what sales we are losing. Hope that helps. As always, feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Thanks.